Even by New South Wales standards, this is a turbulent leadership race. In the midst of a corruption scandal and a critical health emergency, the stakes are high, and so are the Stokes. Rob Stokes threw his hat into the ring yesterday, the planning minister planning to stay the course and stick to the COVID recovery plan laid out by the outgoing Premier.
Gladys Berejiklian has provided an extraordinary example of leadership and of stability. I would continue in that pathway.
I think once bitten, twice shy, maybe for him in terms of how quickly he's announced his intention to run for Premier. I think for a long time it's been kind of assumed that Perrottet was the heir apparent.
Treasurer and Deputy Liberal leader Dominic Perrottet hails from the Conservative wing of the party and is reportedly a fierce critic of lockdown measures.
Right.
But fresh off an endorsement from former PM John Howard, he is considered the frontrunner.
Right.
I've had the opportunity to discuss with my family and my colleagues my intention to nominate today as the Liberal leader.
He's still at this stage the favourite, but there are some people that are a tad nervous about how his personal politics could play out in the electorate.
Other potential challenges include Attorney General Mark Speakman and Jobs Minister Stuart Ayres. But what about New South Wales' constant wildcard? Transport Minister Andrew Constance has never shied away from the drama. In March 2020, in the wake of the bushfires, he announced his resignation from politics. 2 months later, he said he'd seek pre-selection in the federal seat of Eden-Monaro. Then, 24 hours later...
24 hours, yeah.
...changed his mind.
I do want to apologise for anyone who's been upset, confused by what's happened.
While the backflips caused him to be removed as Leader of the House, many were still speculating he'd take a run at Premier. Then today, he did it again.
I want to confirm that I am no longer going to remain as a New South Wales Cabinet Minister, seeking a transition to the federal Parliament at the next election.
He was always very much an outside kind of wildcard option. The whole time he has been at a bit of a crossroads, weighing up whether or not he would leave Macquarie Street altogether. Yeah, I guess time will tell if it's the right call.
So, why announce the federal shift now? And will he still feel the same way tomorrow?
Constance joins us now from those crossroads at his home in Malua Bay. Andrew, you look like a very happy man tonight, but we have been down this road before. You've told us several times that you've been fed up with politics altogether. Are you sure you want to do this time?
Yeah, absolutely, Lisa. There's no doubt. And, you know, I feel 10 years younger tonight because I'm not having to do another transport press conference. But,
so you do still hate politics?
I just want the place to be human. I think one of the things which, like everyone, when you shouldn't be making big decisions when you're traumatised. And, I mean, you saw me firsthand last year and I made some mistakes. I just wasn't thinking straight. But ultimately I've got a lot of fire still on my belly to get out there and fight for issues, particularly for the Gilmore electorate and the region I represent. I've got to go to the party branches and seek their support in the next month or so. But, the country really just needs, I think, a human side to climate change. It needs, I think, a real representation when it comes to our mental health and our well-being, particularly out of the pandemic. And, I feel like I've got so much more to give, not only locally in my local community, but also nationwide. I've got 10.5 years of cabinet minister experience behind me, and I've just got a little bit of fire still in the belly. So, why walk away?
Andrew, Dominic Perrottet reportedly has the numbers to become Premier. Is he your pick?
Well, I'm hoping they all get together tonight, sort it out and get back to work tomorrow. We've got a pandemic and we've got lots of communities in lockdown, people really struggling, schools closed, businesses closed, people hurting, seniors living in homes alone, scared. And the community's not going to look too favourably if this keeps going and going and going.
So is that a no then from you?
No, I'm just hoping I don't have to vote and go to Sydney on Tuesday. I mean, they should just work through an endorsement. I'm serious about this. I mean, it is, the point out of this, I've been in the party room for almost the last 20 years. We've never had a leadership ballot in that time. So I think the community is looking for a smooth transition. Obviously, I think it's fair to say that looking at it, I mean, Dom would be the front runner in terms of the numbers. And I just hope that tonight they can just sort this out and let the community know tomorrow, because the pandemic is biting, people are hurting, and it's community interest time, not political interest time.
Are you saying then that Rob Stokes should actually pull out at this point?
No, I think they need to get together and talk. I mean, Rob and Dom are actually long-time friends. And when I've seen this before in politics, Gladys and Mike were long-term friends. And not that Mike would ever want to admit this, but Gladys actually had the numbers against Mike back in 2014. And they actually got together, talked and worked it out. And it was a seamless transition the following day. So I would hope they can sort that out tonight. They are actually genuinely good friends, and they've been respectful of each other over the last 48 hours. So I hope they can sort it out.
Andrew, there were reports that several senior ministers were begging Gladys not to resign. Were you one of them?
I didn't want to see Gladys go. I'm like the community. I mean, I don't even know what the allegations are. I mean, I think the community last year passed judgment in relation to a relationship with Darryl Maguire, and Glad moved on, and no one knows what this is all about. So what they did see though was a heartbroken, incredibly strong, gifted, passionate, hard-working leader who's steered us through the worst bushfires in the globe's history, let alone the nation's, and then of course through a global pandemic. And this is crunch time. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see ultimately what the ICAC is referring to, and I'm sure Glad will give that explanation, and she'll bounce back stronger and better.
Andrew, can I have a one-word answer? If you do make it to Canberra, do you support a federal ICAC? One word.
Yeah, I think there does need to be a mechanism which has it in place. But I think the point that I would make is it needs to be in camera. It needs to, you need to be innocent until proven guilty, and there's got to be rules of evidence, and it's got to be almost based on the Hong Kong model. You can't sort of have people just put through this process and then ultimately the DPP make a decision. So
okay.
I think if you've got to have a degree of in-camera nature about it, and that's something I think should be looked at.
As politicians go, that's one word. Andrew, thanks for your time this evening.
Thanks, Lisa.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.